Hey there guys, and welcome back to another Factorio mod spotlight. I'm Exterminator, and thank you for joining me. And I am actually giving a spotlight on something I've already done a spotlight on. I'm giving an update, and it's very rare that I do this. I only do this for mods that have really big updates that they've come out with huge changes, and they're really cool, and the changes just are super impactful. And that mod today is Renai Transportation. Now, I did spotlight this, like I said already, and not very long ago either. And I would really recommend, if you did not see that spotlight, to go watch it before you watch this one, because I'm not going to cover every single thing in the mod again. I'm just going to cover the new aspects, and some of it may not entirely make sense without watching that. I'm just not covering the whole thing just to cut down on video time and for people who've already seen it so they don't have to rewatch it. Okay, so that is on my channel in the Mod Spotlight playlist. Anyway. What has been added to this mod? Some amazing, I cannot emphasize how amazing this stuff is. Something I never thought would be done. I really, like, literally never thought. I never even considered it. So what's been added is, so those of you who have actually seen my mod spotlight for this already, kind of know how this stuff works. There's these bounce pads. The inserters can throw items. They hit the bounce pads and they bounce. Previously, we only had these bounce pads here, and it would just bounce it in like one direction continuously, etc. So one thing that's been added is directed bounce pads, also precise primer bounce pads, and signal bounce pads, as well as a hatch. And that I will cover up here later, near the end of the spotlight. What we're covering first is this, which is huge. We have train ramps. You guys see where this is going? Train bounce pads and directed train bounce pads. So, who needs tunnels? Who needs bridges when you can literally launch your trains into the air and bounce them over other things? I am not joking. This will allow you to launch your trains off a ramp into the air and fly over things and bounce multiple times in different directions to their destination. And this is ridiculous, okay? This may not be for you. This may just be too ridiculous, almost stupid, but I think it's a fantastic feature because it is just, I actually have no idea how they're doing this. I really don't understand how this is possible, but it is. So, how does this work? So the train ramps, a very long explanation here. Basically, when a train launches off its ramp, its next stop on its schedule is bumped forward by one stop, so it's recommended to guide the automatic train to the ramp you want it to take using a train stop placed after the ramp, which I've done and I'll show you. Keep in mind the train might slow down if it approaches a stop or if the next stop after the jump isn't readily accessible. The train speed when it hits the ramp dictates how far it will fly, and this will be very important in another example I show you. A train with many carriages might also lose a few carriages during a jump if it's going too fast or too slow for how much weight it is pulling. I've had that happen in my tests. Okay, and then these bounce pads work how they basically work for the items. Basically, when it lands on it, it bounces, and then this lets you choose a direction. You'll see. So, first things first. Very basic, super basic thing you can do. Have a ramp. There's no bounce pads in this explanation in this example. What we've done, though, is we've put a station way over here. It's very important that you do this because, obviously, if there's no station, then this train won't go anywhere. You could manually drive it, but there's a very high potential you might die if you haven't preset it up exactly correctly. So this is here. It's also important that you make sure your track is connected because otherwise the train just won't be able to get to its destination. So how do you place these really quickly? They're a little finicky. They kind of work with like the train grid. So like it won't place here, but it places here and then here, not here and then here. So you can see it kind of lines up like, yeah, in the I don't know, grid's the best word I can use of like how trains line up. So it's kind of just like that. You just kind of gotta find where it is, and then when it shows up like that, it's not that difficult, and it just goes on the track like that, whatever, on top of it. Okay, so we're gonna have this guy go. Get ready. Oh my god, isn't that awesome? And there we go. It bounced over this entire train. Barely, but it did. And it survived and it got to its station. Now, of course, this station, this could be an actual rail network. This could be a junction. and your station could be, you know, way over here on the map. It doesn't have to be this close. As long as the train can get to its destination once it lands, you know, that's important so it can actually start. And then, of course, if it were less cargo wagons, it would have jumped farther. If it had a higher speed, it would have jumped farther. And then, of course, your speed is going to be determined just by if it's able to get to its max speed or not. Every train has a set, like every train, its max speed in the game is exactly the same. The fuel just determines its acceleration, so how quickly it gets there. You know, this train started here and it had rocket fuel in it. Had I put nuclear fuel in it, it would have jumped farther because it would have been going faster because of higher acceleration. I hope that makes sense. So there we go. That's one example. That is the most basic. Still hilarious, but the most basic. Next level of complexity is using these bounce pads. So again, we place a ramp. I've got a train set up. This one has rocket fuel as well, but only one wagon. And this is where things get a little bit finicky. So these pads cannot be placed on top of a track. As you can see here, you can't place it on a track. The problem is if you cut the track to put it here, you then cut the path the train has to its station, right? And then it won't travel there. So what I found to do, there may be other ways to do this. Personally, what I did is I just created a little side thing here. This is literally just so the train can technically path to its station, but the train's never going to land. The train's never going to be on this part. It's completely not going to be used. It's just so the train can actually path to its station. Excuse me. So we place this here. It is important when you place this that these green bars line up with the track. You know, there is sometimes where I have had this work where when it's like aligned like halfway on there, but doing this, it's going to land off the track and blow up. It's going to be a real bad time. Okay, so make sure you do this. In terms of the spacing, this took a lot of trial and error, and that's what it's going to be. I had to set the train up, launch it off the ramp, and then see where it lands the first time. Obviously, it will there won't be no bounces. I would recommend putting a track down the entire way because then when it lands, it will just continue on its way and not blow up. If you just have it on the ground, it will land and blow up. So I had to see where it lands and then put a bounce pad there and do a little moving. But once you get it set, if the train starts in its position, every single time in the same position, or is at the same speed at least every time it hits the ramp, then you know it'll hit the pad every time. So let's do this. It's pathing to this station, and here we go. Oh my god. So is that not great or what? You know, very similar thing to what we just did here, except that it does, of course, bounce on the pad and continue on its way. Okay, and you could continue this. You could figure out from here where it lands. It looked like about here-ish maybe. Put another pad, boom, 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 bounce, 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 however far you want. You just need to make sure it's spaced correctly and all that so it hits the pads. Now, here is where it gets really fun, guys. We have these directed train bounce pads. So how do these work? They work almost exactly the same, except you need to face them the direction you want the train to bounce. So in this case, we want the train to bounce up, and the train is going to bounce up when it faces this way. If we put it this way, the train will bounce like that way. It actually bounces the other way. It'll bounce towards me, so you wouldn't want to put it here if you're launching from this side. This way will bounce it down, and then this way will bounce it to the right. So this is how you do these. You can rotate them once you place them, etc., etc. Let's go ahead and give this a shot, and it's going to be fun because you'll notice there's a little surprise here at the end that has to do with train speed. Oh my god. Okay, wait. And that was just for a little fun effect right there. But you will notice it way overshot this on its second time around. And that is because it landed over here and had this much extra distance to gain up speed to get to a higher speed and launch farther. So that's a good example why speed is very important, because even though the setup was the same, since the first time it started right here, or like right here, you know, it had the speed to hit this ramp. However, it came through here and landed and had this entire stretch to continue gaining speed without stopping, which launched it even farther way over here. And I don't think it was even at top speed, so you can kind of see how far these might be able to land. and you can just continue bouncing forward again and again and again. One note, I did get a crash. If the dev is watching this, I could submit a report as well. I'll try to remember to do that. I did put a bounce pad here and have it continue to bounce, but I did get a crash when it just landed out here, and it either hit a tree or a cliff. It does not crash when it just hits the ground, but if you're playing around, just trying to find a setup, I would make sure to clear trees and cliffs until that's fixed, because I did get a error and it closed. It crashed. So that's that. I would show you, I could reload the save here and show you that again. In fact, let's just do that for the fun of it. So we're just going to come down here. That's the example I'm about to show you in a minute. But I really just want to watch this again. So let's do that again. Oh my god, is this not great or what, guys? Oh my god, this is hilarious. Yeah, so there's that. Okay, that's the train stuff. That's the huge thing that's added. But there's actually these other ones that are really cool. I would not leave at this point because these are really cool as well. So what we have the creative cheating mode accumulator there for infinite power, and we have this is a thrower inserter and a bounce pad. This was covered in my main spotlight, the previous one. Pretty straightforward. So this is a lot easier to set up because when you place these, it shows you exactly where it's going to land. So normally, previously, before this update, this would hit this bounce pad and bounce this way, and then you couldn't change the direction. However, we now have these directional ones, so we can now determine this is going to hit this and bounce upwards. On top of that, previously you could only have things land in chests. You now, though, can have hatches, and if you put a hatch on in assembler, like so, you can have the items thrown into an assembler, so you can actually do production with this without ever using inserters from a chest directly. You can just bounce the item straight into here. So these take blue circuits. If we just give ourselves a ton of blue circuits here. And the sound's just perfect. And you can see, it's just going here. Now, it does get a little bit funny when... You don't want to be a little careful when the buffer fills up here. It will shortly. It does start just kind of piling up on the ground around it, which I think is hilarious. But that is a problem that you wouldn't face with a normal, chest to inserter setup. As you can see, yeah, so there's that. Also, if you, I don't know, this may just cause a crash. If you just change this to something else, it will obviously just land on the ground anyway. So you do want to, of course, have it be a recipe that can use these items. And there we go. And of course, it's going in again because I cleared that buffer. So, this is pretty straightforward. You can just bounce it. You can bounce it any direction. You can go boom, 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 up, around, etc. to however way you want. Again, very straightforward. Works the same basically as a train thing, but a lot easier to set up because it shows you exactly where these land. Lastly, these are really cool, guys. This is really, really neat. This is, in my mind, almost as cool as a train thing. You have these precise primer bounce pads. These are incredibly useful. So what they do is grenades, capsules, landmines, and other items will be primed to activate after bouncing on this. The extra power increases the range to 40 tiles. Non-primable things only bounce 10 tiles. Press interact, default F, to switch to spread mode. Okay, so you can basically lay down siege, almost an artillery strike of things like grenades. So let's take, we can take grenades, we can take cluster grenades. Let's try both. In fact, let's try some poison capsules. Okay, so if we just stick one of these in, this bounces it, and it primes it and throws it. So we just threw a grenade basically from here all the way over to there. Now, of course, we would have to set this up, in front of a base. It may seem OP, but it's not like you can just run along and do it. You have to actually set this up. Cluster grenades are actually pretty insane with this. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I just did that. oh my god, I did it again. Now let me click. Okay, here we go. Easy fix. So you can see, like, you could just lay down destruction onto a base with this, right? Now, of course, that is just one area. If you want to change that, you go over here and you hit F, and you can see the little symbol changes on here. And you put these back in, and now watch. Like, this is insane, dude. This is like a freaking artillery strike on wherever you want. Okay, now, of course, we could go insane. We could just do this with poison capsules. I mean, if you just want to poison the heck out of everything, I mean, just like look how far this covers this entire area here in poison. Tons of poison. Like any worms, any biters in here will be dead so fast, right? That's super cool. Another very, very useful thing with this is landmines. If you maybe want to do this instead of robots to resupply your landmines, or maybe even before you have robots, this actually works incredibly well to relay landmines, or lay them in the first place. So as you can see, it is important to have this on spread mode for the landmines. But look at this. We can just lay our landmines like this. Like if you just had... now, of course, once they blow up, like there will be ghosts and the bots will detect they need to replace them. You can't really do that with this. But you know, you can maybe set up some sort of detector when you get attacked, then fill a box or something. But you could just have these lined up on spread mode and just landmine the crap out of your base or whatever. Of course, if you don't have spread mode, it'll just throw them all in literally one tile space, basically. You know, there's still a lot of overlapping here. But pretty dang cool, if you ask me. One other thing I've actually not tried is these. These are technically capsules. I don't think this is gonna... Well, maybe it does. Oh, it does. Oh my goodness, it does. So you can even throw distractor capsules. I really, this may cause an issue. I'm not quite sure how these will work because they are supposed to, you know, follow you around. So I don't really know how that works. Maybe they'll just zip back to you or something, or are they just not locked on? They're just not locked on. So actually, this would be an option if you want to have destroyer and defender. Sorry, destroyer capsules act as distractor capsules, because distractor capsules and defender capsules you throw out here and they just sit here. Normally, destroyer capsules won't do that. They'll follow you around until you die. If you want these to act as distractor capsules, you could use this to do so, just like this, because they're not locked onto me. They're not tied to me. So that's actually a really interesting thing I had not thought of until just now. And that's pretty much it, guys. So it's capsules. I tested this on my stream. We tried artillery shells, atomic bombs. It doesn't work. It has to be stuff that you as a player throw, not something that's like launched or shot. So that's everything I showed you is pretty much what you can do. Slow down, poison, both grenades, landmines, and then the robots, and that's pretty much it. So there you go. That's the mod. It was a bit of a lengthy spotlight, but I wanted to show you everything. This is fantastic. I love this so much. It's hilarious, but also can be quite useful, particularly something like this. And the trains, of course. And this even shows you like the range here, kind of. So this is brilliant. I love this so much. I feel like this will actually come in really handy for some people. Anyway, guys, that's the mod. I do hope you enjoyed. And link, as always, in the description to the mod portal where you can grab this with all these features and have a ton of fun with it. Leave your thoughts and stuff below. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this mod. I think that the train thing got posted to Reddit and it's like super highly upvoted. It's hilarious. I love it so much. Like seriously, who doesn't need bridges or tunnels when you can just have your trains jump over everything? I truly don't know how they're doing this on a modding perspective, coding wise. But anyway, guys, there you go. Leave your thoughts below. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and so other people can find it, and subscribe if you want more content like this. And until next time, I will see you later, and do take care.